12 o'clock, we're calling the December Finance Committee meeting to order. And Sharon will make note of who's here. Yeah. Is there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Motion to approve the agenda.
You approve it. Yes. I second it.
Is there any public participation? Nobody from the public is in the room here. I don't see anybody online except for Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
So the next item up is approval of the minutes from November 15th. They're in our packets. Is there any, is there a motion on those?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from November 15th.
Great.
Second.
Thank you. And we're to the financial report. Chuck, it's all yours.
Okay, I will go relatively quickly, and if you guys have questions, please feel free to stop me. I'm kind of going to hit on the high points, and details are needed, we can do that too. So on page 5, just kind of our summary. One of the good things about the month of October is it really trended well with the prior months. So October inpatient revenues were 0.6 greater than the prior month. We're 19% below budget, but trending as expected. The average daily census for the month on the inpatient side was 6.6 up in med surg, but there were significant declines in other areas like obstetrics and mental health unit. Outpatient revenue declined. Probably the biggest decline was $832,000 for our outpatient revenue. And the biggest component of that was we had a 19% decline in emergency room visits. And so that everything else kind of filters off of that. Contractual bad debt, again, trending pretty flat. About it was 42% of consolidated gross revenues and 44% of hospital revenues. And so in bad debt, again, trending 2.2% versus 2.5% on a 13-month rolling average. So trending pretty well. Significant variations from budget are, again, similar to the prior month. Contract labor were over budget because of the use of contract labor's employees across the hospital. Physician contracts, same issue as we've seen before. So we get down to a net gain. Again, anytime the hospital shows a net gain, show a consolidated gain, that's a good thing. So we're at 152 positive for the month. And monthly average on 13 rolling months is negative 276. So we're still pushing the positive numbers, and that's a good thing. In the month of October, revenues were about flat. Net patient revenue was about flat. Expenses were down a little bit, which is a positive for us, and then we get to the bottom line. But the one big thing, and we'll see it, we'll get back to the income statement to review it, was we had a $300,000 swing in interest income in the month, and so that pushed our net income down. Going on to page 7. 7 is our consolidated income statement. And while we're 8.4% below on total inpatient revenue, below budget, trending with the prior month. Prior month's 6.9 million, and we're just over 7 million in the current month. Outpatient revenue, as we said, is down a little bit, 14.4 million last month, 13 million, and just a little bit above budget. On our total gross patient revenue, including the RFP and physician revenue, we were at just below our budget amount, and again, trending with prior months. Taking us down to net patient revenue, and a little bit above budget on net patient revenue. Trending with prior month, last month 12.8 million, and this month 13 million. So still trending almost identical to prior months. Our employee benefits and salaries and wages, again, just a little bit below our budget, which is positive for us. but trending 8.2 last month, 8 point this month. So trending fairly well. And the same with our total other expenses for medical professional fees down to other operating. Again, almost 12.6, trending with 12.3 last month. And at the bottom of the page, you'll see that swing. Last month, we showed positive 225,000 in interest income. And in the current month, we're showing negative 91, which swings us about 300,000 for total net income. So we're showing total consolidated net income at 130,000. Last month, we showed 944,000. So trending well. Going over to the on a year-to-date basis, consolidated net income at just over $5 million on a budget of negative $1 million.
Can you just hold there for a second, Chuck?
Yes, sir.
Any questions at this point? You guys have any questions? So we were having a little discussion about this offline here. Would you check in with, it's interesting that we would have had that kind of bigger loss on the investment income in October, when October was a pretty good month in the market, right? I mean, there weren't any bad swings in the bond market, equity markets were up. And so if they're on a lag, that's fine. It'd be nice to understand why it just doesn't kind of ring true,
I'm with you. I think that generically speaking, the information that comes over from the city comes over pretty slow. And so if you were to tell me that was 30 to 45 days late information, I would say that's probably correct. But I will certainly double check that. And one of the things that we seem to be seeing repetitively in the annual audits every year is, discussion about how we reconcile those accounts, whether we're doing it on a timely basis. I think that's something in the next few months that's got to be a focus for me to get my arms around.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Looking at depreciation in comparison to budget, we kind of expected that last year and toward the beginning of the year because there were issues with projects that were not capitalized yet. Is this still an issue I would have expected this to be higher this year from month to month.
I don't believe that it is still an issue, but I would be happy to double check on that and report back to you next month.
Okay. So the year over year change, the October to October change. So on the inpatient side, we have the inpatient line 1 is up, line 2 is down. What is that, Joe? Do you know?
Yeah, okay. It's where we post Wildflower Court is more appropriate in the top line, so we just adjust it for this year, so you can see that variance throughout the year.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And I did when you look at the 13-month rolling, I did adjust it up so it doesn't look like that on the 13-month rolling. I put it on the top line.
Oh, I see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, got it. Okay. That's all I have on you. Head on there. Thank you.
Okay, on to the next page. I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on a similar report, just excluding Wildflower Court. And yeah, again, down to the $300,000 money that we were at 576 net income last month to this month.
Yeah.
Everything else tracks about the same. The next two pages, 9 and 10. I apologize that we didn't get those on one page. We'll do better at that next, but the 2 pages represent the income statement of Wildflower Court. See that we're still running a fairly positive trend in terms of gross to net revenue. Collections are significant. Or let's say it this way: contractual allowances are only 56% of them. Are gross revenue. So that's very positive. And everything else trended about equally. The two areas, the two line items that didn't trend with prior months or non-medical professional fees were up in a little bit, as well as materials and supplies. And I really think that's just catching up.
Do you happen to know what our average daily census was over there for October? We have that somewhere.
It is. Done.
That's something we could add.
Sure.
It'd be just nice to have, I don't know if we put it on the inpatient patient days or just its own little chart, it's some sort of tracking thing on that. It'd be nice to see it to help understand the variance there.
I think we could throw it on page 16 if you'd like to.
Yeah, and I've got another change for 16 when we get there. Yeah, that'd be great if you wouldn't mind, even if it's just a numerical amount down below and you don't have to put it in the chart. But I guess we have full 12 months in there for last year, so we might as well. Huh? Yeah, let's do that. That's great.
Going on to page 11. Ratios for the month. And again, for the month of October, we show pretty positive in terms of all the, our liquidity was 3.39 last month, 3.79 in October, from 64.3 to 64.8 on our days account receivable. Again, while that shows higher than Moody's, I think 64.8 is not too bad. We are collecting very consistently. There's another topic relative to AR that we could talk about offline, but days in AP are down, so we're doing very well there, and didn't much affect our days cash on hand. We're still at 100 days cash on, over 100 days cash on hand, which is good. And that number's climbing a little bit every month. All of our profitability ratios are pretty good. 8.0 from 8.8 last month on operating margin. 9.5 on both excess and EBITDA margins. So very similar to the prior month. Average age of plant didn't change. Our capital ratio is all still pretty tight, 55.2 to 54, 68.2, 57 this month. I don't see anything there that's alarming to me.
Yeah, great.
Page 12 is your hospital 13-month rolling. You can see some of the things that we've already talked about. You can see that, what inpatient revenue basis we're trending very, very similar to where we've been. Outpatient revenue did fall off, primarily relative to the emergency room drops. There was we did run through, if you'll see in the balance sheet, we ran through a prior period adjustment for contractual allowance to the prior year. We were anticipating that we were going to get hit on our cost report for about $1 million. And in fact, our cost report came out that where the government actually owes us about $350 back. So we were able to reverse that $1 million off in the prior year. So that got reversed off for the audit report.
Why did you book that as a prior period adjustment? I mean, why wouldn't they, it's a change in estimate, right? It's not an error.
Well, once the cost report's done, it's not an estimate anymore.
We made that adjustment. It's that we filed it in the last year, so we adjust it as we file the cost report. It's our last year metrics.
Okay. Oh, it's part of your closeout.
Yeah, it's our closeout.
I'm sorry.
It's always the last entry we do.
Yeah, I got you. I'm sorry. I was confused on timing. I thought we were talking about 23. So, okay. So this is just a 24.
Right. We were estimating based on 23.
I got you.
We were able to take that money back in.
All right. But this is probably a dumb question, but why? Oh, never mind. It's a fund balance question, but I think it actually makes sense to me. But as I look at this, it's just interesting. Our fund balance is so much higher than it was a year ago at this time. If you go to the bottom of page 14, Sharon, that we expect because we had these god awful losses from, I mean, we're still at a big enough a hole, and it's interesting. Our fund balance is up, given the fact that we've had these losses. Right? Come on, Joe. You got an answer there? It's all right. Don't worry about it. Could be,
5 million if it's the decrease in pension liability.
Yeah, that's where I would go. I think our pension liability and our pension payments out, that there is a significant fluctuation in those from year to year. That's not different. That's not different from any other hospital. That's
No.
just how it works.
right. Yeah. Okay, that's not something.
So going on, so sticking on page 14 for a minute, again, not a lot of change. One of the things that I wanted to know, I would think would be pertinent is, when I look at things like other receivables and other payables, I always wonder what's in there. So I looked at other receivables and the biggest component of other receivables right now is about $1 million in physician loans. The rest of it is grants and employee loans and miscellaneous things like that. But that's what the biggest piece of it. That's what the biggest piece of it is.
Okay.
No real change, no significant change in cash. Inventories remain the same. Prepaid expenses are amortizing out the way they should.
So inventory isn't adjusted. Is it based on account then? I mean, why is the number exactly the same?
We adjust. So I haven't been here for a quarter yet. Traditionally, I would adjust quarterly, but it is a little bit of an issue to count inventory on a regular basis. So
Yeah. Would you just look into that for next month?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I can speak to inventories if I could, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So we have a bunch of the main accounts work well. The master inventory does, so we usually pretty much that one, but all the sub inventories just broke. There's no decrementing them, so we have Meditech set up. So I started just manually adjusting back because we had this massive year-end entry to both pharmacy and all these little sub inventories that almost offset each other. So we just started backing those off and letting the master do all the work by itself. So that's typically how it works. So I mean, there's a chance it's the same, but it is strange.
Not to the dollar.
Not to the dollar. If we look it up and it was, it's gonna be funny, but.
Yeah, it will be funny, but yeah, just take a look at it to see what's going on there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No, in liabilities, no real shocks in liabilities or defensive payrolls. No, there should be. Accounts payable expenses have actually gone down, which is positive for us. Other payables, same. And down to, as we talked about, fund balances better than it was last year. It used to grow with our income.
I mean, the good news is that we're just taking the pressure off that. Okay.
So
Chair, I do have a question. This
Yes,
goes back to my depreciation. I see that we dropped, 3.6 million construction in progress, but I'm trying to figure out what the really big projects are in that 9.4, or is it a combination of a bunch of little bitty projects?
I believe it to be a continuation of projects that were already ongoing.
There's nothing.
So it's all those little CIPs we do with Gene on the planning committee.
It's up to 9. I guess it would.
He's talking about line 9, not line 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's just the appropriated funding. So we do have our
Oh, yeah.
our ERG projects in there. So that's just money sitting on the CBJ for all the
that makes
projects we haven't started.
So we,
11.
so we haven't de-appropriated, I guess, or unappropriated.
No, and there's more appropriations. Remember, we sent through that they didn't push through assembly for the rest of the ER project.
Right.
So there's 3.4 million that was part of the ER project, and then there's CIP for current year. Then all the small projects that have right.
So this will increase
When they actually
when
push
they
that
actually
through.
push that through. Thank you.
So the other payables, did you tell us what was in other payables too?
I didn't get that far. I have a little question mark on my page.
Yeah, okay.
So I will certainly look at that as.
No, I wouldn't ask except you said something. So, you know.
I think most of the other payables, the CIBITA and then the lease stuff.
Yeah, it's in there. So on 16, would you going forward, just take RRC out of the? It's gonna forever look weird. And a lot of those variances are because that has gone to 0. And so to replace that with wildfire court is. Yes.
Sure, I'll do that.
So in, mental health unit inpatient. So is that normally something that drops in September and October for those who have been around here for a while? Is that kind of a normal thing?
And then it'll go back up. December's usually pretty high.
Okay, so it's nothing to worry about. It's just kind of seasonal thing. Yeah.
It's not a staffing issue. It's like we're going out to the state looking for applications, like bringing people in. It's just, we're fully capable of taking people.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Okay, so you can see, so page 16, you can see that, as we talked about, 6% increase in med surge. Big drops in obstetrics, and obstetrics down 32%. So that's kind of one of our offsets, as well as the newborn nursery was down 28%. On page 17, talked about too, and the ER was down 19% from the prior month, and that really follows. And we do a lot of CTs out of the ER, so CT was down 11%. And
There's that memo pop that you told us last month it's gonna come. It sure did. Great.
okay, on to 18. Page 18, let's do it. A little bit of regurgitation, things that we already talked about, but breaking out home health, hospice, as well as wildflower court. You can see that on a year-to-date basis. I think the important thing about this page is on a year-to-date basis, we're a little bit below break even on home health and hospice. Those are tough departments to make money on, but we're hanging in pretty well.
I mean, hey, plant a flag on the fact that there's a positive number in the current month.
Yes.
So and we're essentially on a settled basis for revenue, right?
That's correct. And I'm doing a little, I did a little research for this month. I didn't get completely through it, but it looks like, our net revenue percent is about 80% on both home health and hospice. So yes, I think it's collectible money.
Yeah. And so when will we go back to booking revenue based on, seeing patients in a corresponding contractual allowance? I mean, what's the plan around that?
So we contract out the billing collections for that, for those units with a company called Matrix Care. And we've had some difficulty in just getting the reporting squared away on them. I think by this time next month, I'll be able to do a year-to-date adjustment for you and get gross contractual and net together. I've been working, haven't got it all the way fixed yet.
Some of the reports aren't squaring up exactly. So there's
Yeah.
confidence level in the reports we're still working on.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it, probably. But what about denials? Are they working denials?
I don't remember that one.
Truly, in those units, they shouldn't have, it should be very rare to have a denial.
Home health even?
I'm sorry,
For home health too? Just enrollment denials? You don't have problems with that?
should not, no.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, on to page 19. We continue to be very focused on FTEs. We meet actually a couple of times a week to talk about FTEs. Even though we've got some fairly significant contract labor still in the hospital, you can see that we're at 581 total and 546 FTEs for employees at this point.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I have a question as, do you have a targeted FTE number that you're working towards?
It's dollars, sorry. I didn't have a target in FTE. It's something we can look at. We're getting real close to it. At this point, we've gone through all the major changes, so now it's almost what the departments are operating in a status quo. We've kind of taken all the pieces that we can out of it. So you'll see some minor fluctuations in anything, but I assume this will start flattening out.
When we were looking at those numbers pre-COVID, it seemed like it was around 5.5 or 550, right?
Close to it.
Yeah, so we're kind of in that ballpark. Does that answer your question on that?
All right, through the chair, I could add a little color to that. The FT committee is meeting with each department and going through exactly what their base core staffing models are in comparison to the other external data that we've been provided, and just kind of making sure that we understand exactly by department, by shift, what every unit needs. And so we're about probably 40% away through each departmental meeting and getting a really, really solid understanding of what the consultants came in and said they needed versus what our staff say they need, and then finding that ground that is actually really good for patient care and is budgetarily sustainable. So.
Yeah.
Where were we at our peak? It looks like it was prior to this first entry on the graph.
Yeah, it was about a quarter before. Well, you have that, Chad, in that graph?
I don't. Let me look through my stuff and
I thought I remember we were about 700. I thought it was like a few years ago, wasn't it? And then we were kind of stagnant for a long time.
Yeah,
Now
I
it's
thought
coming.
we went over 700. I'm just trying.
Yeah, that's my memory. It's somewhere around there. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just roll the graph back a couple of years or something like that. So
We could put another page in here and maybe do quarterly for
Yeah, it's gonna,
yeah,
some period of time.
yeah, that'd be great. That's a good idea.
And that's a nice summary for the whole hospital to see, I think.
well, in the community, in the packet, because this is one of the things that we've been hearing about from the community, employees that we have. And our part of our financial solution is to right size staffing with services.
I apologize. I realized I forgot. One of the things I had wanted to talk to you about that we didn't get a chance to talk about, but I'll go ahead and bring it up, is last month when Joe reported on the, this developing relationship with Virginia Mason, that one of the things that would be potentially on the table was GPO services. Is that are we moving forward with that? In other words, just an evaluate, I guess I'm more interested in the evaluation process than I am the landing spot, you know, how we're gonna evaluate what makes the most sense for the hospital and then decide whether to make a change or not.
They've already actually reached out with us and we've started kind of looking at what that evaluation, because they're willing to do an evaluation before we even have to look at the procurement process. Do we have to do RFP? Or does that master service agreement open that up to us once that agreement's signed? So Tamara Gibbons has reached out to Willie and they started having conversations on how we can start getting comparable data to see what the prices is and what the benefit of that GPO would be. Does that answer your question?
It does, and I guess you know, because these GPOs can have embedded costs in them. I mean, you can have fees that are really not related to.
Yeah, there's multiple structures with GPO. Sometimes they give you the rebate and have a fee on top. Sometimes they just keep the rebate, so you have no idea what the savings is and what your cost is. But it should be an annual report that give you what the cost of the GPO is.
That's great, and I guess as part of the evaluation, I'd like to understand how it works now and what a potential proposal from VM would look like, so that we can really compare apples to apples on the savings there. See what that, I think that's reasonable for finance committee to be involved in that at some level, you know, if nothing else, and to just kind of receive a report. Here's what they look like. Here's what the deals are. Here's where I'm headed. Here's why, you know.
The sticky part with the GPO is we've done RFPs in the past. And so this could be a different procurement process when we get into it. So
Yeah, I get you.
I know we can do a one-on-one comparison.
Yeah, I mean, even if we're not on RFP, we still want to be able to line the two programs up, though, right?
Yeah. They should be all supplies, the one-to-one cost, fees, rebates, and they'll lay it all.
Thank you.
Page 20 is just a summary of where we are on our realized savings versus what we targeted for. Not much change in the current month. We're still at 2,000,008. And our 963 and 749 didn't change either. So we're still very, very nearly where we were last month.
Is that 8.6 million going to be realistic then, or are we kind of starting to level off or what?
It was kind of a swag when we started because we didn't know the impact of the closure of some of the programs. This is just savings outside of all that other stuff we've done, right?
Yeah.
It'll start coming down because when we start looking at our bottom line, we get a little further in the year when we start getting the losses, we can really gauge what that up needs to be.
Okay, fair enough.
Happy to discuss anything else that you'd like to talk about.
Any questions?
We do have a draft of the audit for the current year. Have prepared for them responses to all of their deficiencies, as well as a management letter for them. So those are all in draft form at this point, but
Okay.
yeah, we should get a final probably before Christmas.
Maybe you and I can just go through the draft together.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, so we can expect, the board can expect that a presentation on the financial statements in our January meeting?
So yes, absolutely.
As it with how we did it last year.
Right.
Any other questions for Chuck? Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it. And there's no board members online, is there? I can't quite
No.
see the names. Okay. Okay, great. Next item is the audit RFP update.
So I actually got Katie on the books where I'm gonna do a one-on-one meeting with her next week. So that'll be prior to the voting, so I can bring that update to them.
Okay, thank you. And then we have this meeting coming on the 19th that some of us are going to be meeting with, and we don't really have any information.
I've reached out to the contacts I have and I have been able to provide any information. So they got the same thing, the meeting invite had that strategic plan, whatever that means to them.
Right.
There was a grant that came out from the state that they ended up pushing off to us that was on childhood mental health awareness or illness. That was a $10 million grant over 5 years for the whole state. So I don't know if it's gonna be them pushing that on us, asking us to re-look at the third floor of the Royal Building.
Yeah. I guess
Kind of
we'll
what
see.
I'm thinking they're gonna do.
But we also have the CON that is hung up, right? I mean,
And I've reached out to them on that as well with no response. So I mean, I can't imagine that's the purpose of the meeting.
yeah, I can't either. But I guess we'll find out on the 19th, so next week. Any committee questions or comments? Board member? Yes.
I just wanted to, if, for anyone who, I think everybody, but maybe you, was at the planning committee, but we started the conversation about refresh, a real refresh of our facilities master plan. The last one done was 2011. We've done updates to it as we pick a project, but there's no real. So we're going to start talking about that next year. And if we move forward with that, there will be real costs involved to get a consultant to evaluate the existing facilities and future needs as we go forward. So we'll be talking about that.
What's the timeline for that?
We're just starting the conversation. I'd like to see it take place by the end of 2025, by June 30, if we can pull that off, so that we can. We certainly can't do it for our capital budgeting process in February, but if we can do it by the end of our fiscal year, we can be ready for it.
So some of the things like the surgical suites and some of those would get swept into, kind of the analysis of what we need there.
That would be a big part of it. And then with the, RRC space and Aurora space, that'll be a part of the equation, how services get shuffled.
How to utilize those.
Yeah, where management is gonna take the whole report and try to put something together. So before we go to a consultant, we have kind of a baseline of what we think it should be. So they have a starting point versus starting from scratch.
Yeah.
You should be seeing an email from Anita as well. She's gonna send out the whole copy so the board members have it. So she'll do the box, that's why.
And as we've been talking about a number of projects, the board and administration need to align on the direction of new program direction. So we can give guidance to whoever is here to evaluate our space needs, our existing space and our space needs, for what programs we want to keep, expand, attract, et cetera. And align it, the purpose, one of the purposes of it is to align it with our strategic plan, not just our facilities master.
Implementation of the new accounting system? Yeah. How's that going?
Still going slowly, but we're meeting our deliverables. We're uploading information to them right now so that they can build it. And as soon as we get through the kind of the build stage, then they'll open up a system for us to start playing in.
And remind me the timing on the go live on that?
March 3rd.
The go live is March 3rd. They have indicated that they think the go live's too tight. I haven't had an opportunity to.
Oh, that's the way.
It's going out with Joe yet, but I think it was a tight time frame to start with, but I don't think it's unachievable yet. I'm not at that point where I think we can't make it.
If it ends up pushing a month, it doesn't, that means it's workable.
It is what it is. Okay.
I want to make sure we get more important to me is that we get all the components in it that we need to do better reporting.
Yeah. That it achieves what it's meant to, that we have a better system, not something that's broken.
Exactly.
That's what we-
The controller recruitment?
We're seeing some resumes. We haven't really seen any good resumes. My preference, I would hope Joe would have some preference when he's looking for a permanent CFO, is that you really need to have somebody that's got a little healthcare background that understands how healthcare Healthcare Works, because they're going to be in a leadership position. They're going to be, they're really going to be making some decisions that they need to have a little bit of experience with.
Yeah.
We haven't, that's the thing we're missing. We've got some people that have decent resumes, but they don't have they have banking experience, the experience that doesn't really
Translate.
translate over.
Yeah. What's the pay range for that we're offering?
Yeah.
Do you know, Chad?
No, off the top of my head, sorry.
Okay.
Are you looking, or what do you say?
What's that?
I said, are you looking?
How many jobs do you have?
Yeah. Let's see. Any other questions or comments? It is 11:40 and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Our next meeting is,
Oh, yeah, next meeting, sorry. Look at our calendar. Let's adjourn here just for a second. It's not too late. It'd be probably 17th of January or the 20th. When's the board meeting?
The 28th.
We have been shooting for the second Friday,
We have been
doing
doing
second
second Friday.
10th and 17th.
The 10th is out for me.
to 17th.
Yeah, it has, oh, shoot. Yeah, I've got some meetings, yeah, on the week, it has the 10th in it. I'll be online and I'll be in, but we can do the 17th. Let's do the 17th. That works for everybody.
Then after that, will we want to continue it being the second Friday of every month?
Yeah, yeah. You know, at one point we had talked about, at what point are we gonna be able to kind of catch up a month, and we're still probably post implementation before.
I say post implementation will be
Yeah,
maybe at the start of the next fiscal year.
okay. All right. Great. Well, thank you very much. Merry Christmas. First of all, I'll see everybody next week.
Whether from
Yeah.